Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Tuesday interview. And today I'm interviewing someone very special. Nicole, this is the second time now, right? Like this is the second time I've interviewed you.
It is the second time in as many weeks, I think.
I
Yes.
know. So thank you very much for making time for the mortgage coach community. Now, this is the Tuesday show, and this is the one I've been doing, I don't know, probably 2010. So
wow.
coming out of the meltdown, there was very few sales meetings. There was very little leadership. And as CEO of Mortgage Coach, I decided one of the most important things I could do was like communicate, lead. And so I would start asking top producers, industry leaders, authors. And my goal really for this Tuesday show was the single best sales meeting in the mortgage industry that week. Pressure's on. This is going to be the best sales meeting in the mortgage industry for the week. Are you good with that? Yep. Can you hear me?
Oh, can I hear you? Yes. I'm sorry. I thought you were seeing if Dan was coming back on. No.
I'm not watching Dan. I'm focused on you until we know Dan is back.
Got it. No, I apologize. Then I don't have an answer. I was paying attention, but only slightly.
I don't know if everybody can tell, but Dan Keller keeps coming and going. So
yes.
Dan, are you here, bro?
Can you hear me?
We can hear you.
If you can hear me, I'm here. And if you can see me, I'm here. Goodness.
Okay. All right. Well, this camera is fantastic, Dan. So let's stay in the pocket here.
Right.
So this idea was Dan's. I was talking to Dan about a week or 2 weeks ago, and he had watched the interview I did with you on how you were using the seller buy down, and he had caught the fact that last year you did like 390 million. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
And you still think you got a shot. I think the goal for this year was 400, and you're close. Like you may have a shot at hitting that. Is that fair to say?
It is fair to say. So we are breaking 200 million today. So really excited. We've got, I went to the liquor store, got 6 bottles of champagne last night. We're breaking 200 million. We closed 386 last year. Our goal at the end of last year was 550. But as you can imagine, a lot changed between December at our annual planning meeting and January. And so I think in January we kept it at 550, and then in March is when we really said, look, this is, I don't want an unrealistic goal. I want a big goal, a big, hairy, audacious goal, but I don't want an unrealistic one. And that's when we moved it from 550 to 400. And I feel good about it. I mean, if we miss it a little bit, I won't be mad, because I know our work effort is supporting that kind of opportunity. Okay,
so cool. So you did edit your goal, but it just so happens that goal is still pretty much what you did last year. So,
yes.
So now, Dan, I'm going to have you do most of the interview with Nicole, because I want it to be operator to operator. I do want to set the table real quick though, Dan. And what was your volume last year? What was your goal coming into the year?
Yeah, volume last year was just shy of 200 million, and goal this year was I didn't have the big vision like Nicole. I was like, hey, I was happy if I could do 100 million this year, considering the noise, considering the media. And then I hear the interview with Nicole, and I talked to Denise Donahue, and I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm thinking way too small right now, and I need a kick in the rear end. So that's why I'm here.
Good. And guys, just heads up, not this next Tuesday, but the next Tuesday, we're going to have Denise Donahue on. And she's also having either a flat year over last year or an up year. And I think it's 700 plus loans that she's doing. So she's killing it. And I do have some cliff notes, although I'm going to save most of those for next time. So Dan, I'm going to hand it off to you, because you really said, hey, I want to talk to her. And I thought, hey, let's do this in public. And let's share this so other folks can do it. I'll chime in here and there. I am going to jump off camera. So when I come on, that means I'm, got something to say. And just when you take a breath, let me ask a question. But it's yours though.
Yeah. So selfishly, I want to just have a conversation with Nicole. I think, what you do in our community is so amazing, Dave, where you inspire people and then you teach and you coach. This is a great sales meeting. And so I'm going to wear 2 hats, but I think, Nicole, why don't we start off by and me included, I mean, I've kind of stalked you recently since I heard that interview. I'm like, oh my gosh, she's amazing. But why don't you kind of give the mortgage coach community real quickly, kind of like how does your team look? Like, are you the solo producer? Are you the main producer? Do you have just a massive support staff under you? Do you have loan officers under you? So kind of give us an idea of how your team looks, and then how your business looks too, like how you run your business from a lead gen and management standpoint.
So our business it's team oriented. So I do all of the lead gen. I do all of the education, the sponsorships. Although I still do strategy sessions with buyers and with real estate agents. I don't fill out. I haven't been in Compass other than looking at pipeline for a very long time. I think when they switched it, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were going through a change, and I was like, I'm out. Like I was like, I can't learn one more thing when it comes to that stuff. So that was my, now I tell my team, I don't know how to pull credit. Like I don't, but that was my way out of loans. But I still do have a lot of conversations with clients and or agents. So I'm kind of the lead. Underneath me, I have a sales team. They are all internal. So they are all on salary and they support our clients. And so they don't network or build those relationships. They support the relationships that I bring in. So I'm the sole loan officer, but they do run with those. We call them production partners as part of my team. I'm not part of the core. And then we have loan officer assistants who support them with disclosures and documenting. We also have a full ops team. We have set up and processing and closing in-house. I have a couple folks on my marketing team who help me create, I do all the videos and then they'll push it out to TikTok and Instagram and YouTube shorts and all of that. TikTok, that was a whole thing. And then I have a reverse mortgage division. There are 5 folks on that team and they're just cranking, and it's part of the overall. My whole goal is to support a client from beginning to end, to have education in mind. And I can go into my whole story and why I set up the reverse mortgage team later in the conversation. But we have a reverse mortgage team that does no forwards, only reverse. And then a lead gen team who is working to build out our networks in other states.
Wow. Okay. Amazing. So the reason why I asked that question, anytime I talk to loan officers and hear interviews like this, they'll say oftentimes, yeah, but you have a bunch of loan officers under you that is pushing your production that you're getting credit for, that's going out and lead generating for you. That's what I love about my business. And this is why I was so attracted when I first heard some of your interviews. And then I'm pretty good friends with Denise Donahue. It sounds like both of your businesses are very, very, very similar. So yeah, I wanted to make that clear that you're the rainmaker, you're the head of the team, you're out there meeting the realtors, you're out there lead generating, bringing new business in every single day. Cool. Real quick, week at a glance.
Hey, Dan, before we transition to that, because I'm gleaning back from my interview with Shop Benosian, who did, like, I don't know, his goal this year is $1 billion in purchase. And one of the things I thought was super neat with Sean is he had done everything you described, Nicole, but he had also really scaled the biz dev side. So while he was the lead generator, he had a biz dev person and he had some other people that do that. Do you?
I don't.
Do you also do that? Okay. Is that on your roadmap? Is that something you think about doing? Or are you like, this is the model and I could go pretty far with this model?
No, we're going to start doing biz dev, and we're going to start recruiting. So we're going to start building out other offices that I teach how to. So it'll be a coach centered area. So we're going to start recruiting, where I'm going to start giving those teams the same love and attention that we experience. So how do they do market education? How do they take care of their agents and their clients? How do they educate and build up investors and clients? So we're kicking that off. So this is all, I mean, I had 10 people on my team 3 years ago. So we really did blow this out during the pandemic. All of this changed. I mean, I was doing good business then. I mean, we had done 180 million. So it was a good business, but we doubled that during the pandemic in doubling down in investing in our own business and the education platforms that we're creating right now. So we're in the midst of doing that and creating the content in a way that we can continue to share that. And now we're going to start recruiting into our area those people that we're going to train up to educate. So that's, I mean, it's scaling.
Yeah, and one more question, I'll hand it back to you, Dan.
Yeah.
And what is the, and I don't want to say, hey, you have a 3-year vision, but if you have a 2-year or 3-year vision that is where you're going from a production standpoint, what is that?
4B10. So we'll be doing 4 billion within the next 10 years.
Nice, 4B10. All right,
Yeah.
back to you, Dan.
4B10. I like that.
You got to shoot big. I mean, that's why, I mean, we moved the 550 down to 400 because it was bigger than the 386. Like, can't go backwards. Can't go backwards.
Love it. I love it. I love your energy. Week at a glance, like, and you don't have to go into super detail, like in 2 or 3 minutes or less, give us kind of an idea of Monday through Friday, your week at a glance, your roles and what you do.
My calendar is packed. So let me preface this with, I am a self-proclaimed workaholic. I don't need to go to therapy for this. I love my job. And so my week is full. So I've got, whether I created a leadership team. So we do EOS. Now we just started that within the last year. So I've created leaders within my small pods of my team so that I can be helping them, and then they're turning around and helping their teams. And so I'm spending a lot of my time in those meetings, and then I'll go and sit in on the meetings that they're having with their teams. I'm doing presentations like this one. This is my 3rd one today. I did a Facebook Live, and then I did a presentation for a real estate group before doing this with you this morning. So I'll do real estate presentations. I'm a huge sponsor of my area association. So I'll do a lot of classes with them. So I'm teaching classes, I'm doing video, and then I've got film time throughout my calendar. So I'm doing that, or I'm working strategies. So I don't take loan applications, but I will sit down. I own 43 investments. We're in the process of purchasing a couple more duplexes and a couple more fourplexes. We own some commercial. So I'll teach people how to do that as well. So we'll sit down and do strategy sessions with our real estate agents and with our clients.
Love it. I love that. Okay.
So I wanted to call something else out real quick, guys. So also when I interviewed Shop Bedosian, he uses Traction, and when we did the he did the Modern Mortgage Summit, it was like how to be the CEO of your business. And I'm hearing a theme here that, you're not a loan officer, you're not a team leader, you're the CEO of a future $4 billion mortgage platform, and you're operating it accordingly. So just make note, everyone, on that. I'm going to put a link to one of the interviews with Shot where he talks about Traction and how he's scaled. I think he did, like over 2 billion last year. So anyways, love that, Nicole. This is so exciting.
And it's not easy. I'll tell you right now, Traction and the EOS, if you bring in a consultant to do it, it's expensive. And it's time consuming, and it takes time to get used to it. But I would say that anything worth having takes time. And if it was super easy, not only would everybody be doing it, but also I don't know that it would add the kind of value and differentiation that it's adding. But a full year to a year and a half, I think, before the EOS model gets fully integrated. And we're not even there yet. We're a bit of a mess when it comes to it, but it's a work in progress, and I'm okay as long as we're continuing to progress.
Well, and I bet a year from now, you'll say probably the opposite of that it's not a mess, so that we actually are moving in the right direction and looking well. So
yes,
I've got one more question. And then what I wanted to do is kind of do a comparison between some of the things that you're doing, some of the things that Denise is doing, some of the things that I'm doing.
Yeah.
And then we'll teach around those, maybe a couple of things that you do really, really well, have you teach on those. But the big question is, what are you doing differently this year? I mean, the industry is down. It has put pressure on loan officers. What are you doing differently this year? Because I hear coaches, I'm coached, and I also coach loan officers, and whether it's within the core or it's with other, mortgage and real estate coaches that I know and that I subscribe to, just hey, volume's down, the industry's down, just replace it with more leads, replace it with more activity. Okay, cool. The majority of the industry and the majority of the people in the coaching company that I'm a part of are doing that, and they're still down. This is why I called Dave the other day. I was like, I got to meet Nicole. I got to talk with her, because if you have some of the top coaching companies in America, coaching loan officers and real estate agents, and all of their numbers, these are the top of the top, are down, and they're doing what their coaches are telling them to do. And that's just lead generate more, do more of this, do more of that, and it'll all even out. And it's not. What are you doing differently this year to replace the deficit in our industry?
Yeah. Because I looked at that. It was interesting. I kind of knew my gut. I could tell you about where we were, but I had my husband who works for me as well. He's my CFO, if you will. He's all things numbers. And he looked at, and as of June, and I have July too, but as of June, we were down 7.8% in units, but up 8.1% in volume from year over year. And in July, it slowed down. I would say the whole market did, but maybe it was just me. We were down 8.6 at that point. So slightly down in units, July over July last year, but up still 4.6% in volume. So July's lower month stole a little bit of our advantage, but we're still 4.5% over where we were last year. And I would say that we doubling down is important. Like you've got to commit to the activity. I don't commit to the results. I have big results. I have big goals. I set them out there and I let everybody know that I'm doing it because I can't back down on that. It was a public scrutiny when I dropped it from 550 to 400 because I was putting it out there. But I don't think it's just the activity. I don't think you can just make more phone calls and make it work. Like it's not just, you have to figure out for your market, what are people's pain points? What are you solving? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why are you better than the Wells Fargo's and the Bank of America's? Or for me, I'm not a broker. I'm with Fairway Mortgage. And so why am I better than a broker who might be giving a little bit of a chippier rate because it's awfully chippy out there right now? But what is it that I'm bringing to the table? So you have to be more secure in your value add today than ever before. This is not a time to waver, and it's certainly not a time to pansy around what you think you might. Oh, did I say that out loud? No, you yell it. Like you need to be very clear with what you believe. You might even offend, but you need to secure, because the people that are looking for hope right now, there's a lot of fear. There's a recession coming, and what does that mean for housing? And I remember 2008, it was like disastrous. I don't remember what happened in 2018 and 19, but I remember 2008. And I'm like, come on, then give me the benefit of 18 and 19, would you, if you're going to remember 2008? And so being able to talk to them, agents and clients alone or both, and say, I get that you have fear, but let's talk about the reality of that fear. Let me back it with numbers. I'm an economic geek. I read every morning. I'm on articles and I'm reading at least an hour a day. I'm arming myself with the information. I'm educating, and then I'm turning around and educating my agents and my clients on backing out of that fear, because you can't, there's some people you simply can't help, but there's so many others that desperately want to cling on and ride your positivity to the finish line. And that's what you have to do. You can't just do activity. You have to do the right activity. And the right activity is the activity that provides value to the agents right now, because they're just as afraid. Their volume's gone down too, and they're trying to figure it out.
I love that.
Hey, Dan,
Yeah.
could I insert something real quick? And I hate to keep doing this. It's just the similarities are amazing. When I did the halftime report, I interviewed Steve Jacobson. And, and he said, hey, in every market, there's going to be people that are doing the right activities. And there are right activities. And what those right activities are different in this market than they were in previous markets. I want to call out one thing that I've noticed that Nicole is doing. And then I also want to quote Shop Negotiate again. When I did the halftime report, it was one of my favorite quotes in the 30 interviews that I did. And he said, I don't follow the interest rate economy. I don't or I'm not focused on the interest rate economy. I'm not focused on the inventory economy. I'm focused on the action economy. And it was, and he was always, and he was focused in this market, it's purchase. And so he had actually readjusted his goal to just a pure purchase goal, like instead of total volume. Now, he was also being very smart. He was one of the first people that reached out to me and said, hey, Dave, I want to really arm my concierge team with cash out strategies. And I want to make sure we are super smart around all the different cash out strategies. It sounds like, and so he's doing really smart things. Now, Nicole, one thing I've noticed that, you know, you've been doing, because I interviewed you on the seller buy down, but why did you pick that as a strategy that you created a lot of media around that, and you've created some mortgage coach videos, and you've created some Facebook Live videos, you've probably done some YouTube videos, I'm sure you're doing bomb videos, but why did you pick that strategy to invest in so heavily?
I don't know that it matters, to be honest. I'll tell you why I chose the 2-1 buy down, but honestly, the goal is to continue to teach on the opportunities that homeownership gives you. And if it's a strategy that gets past the current environment, then I'm all in. Now, the reason why the 2-1 buy down specifically is because it's around this, this getting used to or adjusting to these higher prices and higher interest rates. Everybody's out there selling ARMs, and that's fine and good, but not only do you have a non-QM issue with the whole charging points and making the ARMs work, but also I don't feel like, without going knee deep, I didn't buy my first investment property until I was 40. I didn't buy my first home until I was 27. I grew up in a rental with a mom on food stamps, a single parent. And when you are in protection mode, which my mom is in and has been her whole life, you arm yourself with the most secure solution. And so, although I'm no longer in protection mode because we're reaching out well beyond our circle to create opportunities, and I already talked about the fact that we have all these investments and we're doing all these things, but it's always, I mean, come on, your mom's always in the back of your head, right? So it's like, my mom's back here going, but what if? All right, so what if interest rates don't go down? What if I'm locked into that ARM and in 5 years, it goes up 5%, because it could? What if I put myself in a position where I can no longer afford that home? What if I can't keep it up and I have to foreclose it or I have to sell it? And I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with putting my clients in that. Now, I will do ARMs and we do them, but if they don't at least know about the 2-1 buy down, because when I first heard about the 2-1 buy down, I was like, that's the dumbest program I've ever heard of. Because if I'm gonna buy the rate down, I'm just gonna buy the rate down. Why would I do a 2-1 buy down? Well, then this market happened, and holy smack, sellers are willing to give credits to sell their homes because they've been sitting on the market for weeks, maybe 2 weekends. Oh my God, it's been sitting on the market for 2 weekends. I got to get rid of this thing. What am I going to do? I'm going to price reduce and I'm going to give money away. So I'm going to take advantage of that for my buyers who've been freaked out over the interest rates going up. And I'm going to drop their interest rate for the next 2 years, allow them to get settled in. And if we have a recession and if the interest rates go down, which I fully believe, but my crystal ball broke, maybe yours works. So if we have those things, they can refinance. But if those things don't happen and the interest rates don't go down, you know that I've qualified you for the full amount. You know your payment will never go over this. You know that you have a fair market interest rate for the current market, and you're locked in at a 30-year fix that you can budget around. It feels better. And that's why I do it.
So let me unpack the formula as I heard it and tell me if I got it right. And this totally ties into what Jake said, like the best of the best, they're going to pick the right strategies. And your formula was that it solves a problem in today's market. 2, it kind of uniquely, like the way you talk about it, it uniquely solves a problem in today's market. Some of what you say is a little against the narrative, and you like that because that's your leader. And then you want to be educating and you want to be out there constantly like that. That is your model, which, by the way, guys, that is Denise's model too. She's creating lots of content. She's doing lots of realtor masterminds. Like she's clear on the activities she's going to do. You're clear on the activity you're going to do. But that was the model. It's not about 2-1 buy down, seller buy down. It's really that formula that I just laid out. Did I miss anything from the formula?
No. I'm
Dan?
sure you did, but not off the top of my head.
Dan, feel free to unpack that more, and back to you, bro.
I think this is a great, get your editing team, Dave, to come in and just cut what she just said. This is how you sell your options for a 2-1 buy down or a permanent buy down or a 3-2-1. It doesn't really matter. I love how you framed that. You framed it two different ways. You framed it, like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, what I love about that is you just took yourself right out of pressuring a client or a client feeling like they're getting sold.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter why you use that strategy. What matters is, and then I loved your frame around that fear that your mom, I mean, I've come from the same background and the same parents that say the same, that, well, what if this happened in, when we were younger, this happened in 2008, what if? And so I absolutely love that. And I think when our clients, so loan officers listening to this, when our clients hear that, now you're confident. So I was on your Facebook Live this morning, and again, I've watched you one time, stalked you a little on social media, but as I was driving into the office this morning and you were doing your live, I'm like, I would trust you. There's so much confidence in your voice, and there was so much data, and there was so much leadership just in that live that you gave. And I think that you have to, as loan officers, we have to understand right now, and you just said it, you have to be confident and secure in your message. Yeah. And how do you get more confidence? How do you get more secure in your message? You study data, you follow guys like Dan Rawich, and every single morning I subscribe to Dan, and there's other companies out there. There's Mortgage News Daily. Jump in there and just read articles, but you have to be a student of your market too. That builds confidence. And then what I did 5 or 6 months ago, I called up Dave Savage one day and I said, hey man, you have 5 minutes today? I'm having a hard time right now. I need to talk to someone who's been around the business. Yeah, I'm worried. I don't know what to expect. What if rates go to 6 or 7? Inflation, recession, all of this stuff. And Dave gave me a really great perspective. I talked to a couple of other smart people that have been around the block longer than I had. And that's what we need. And we need to take that, and we need to learn that. We need to share that with our clients. But I absolutely love how you framed that with the 2-1 buy down and the perm and ARMs, because yes, the banks and like you just said, the banks and the credit unions are whooping everyone on the ARMs, and they're pushing ARMs. And I like options. I love giving clients options, and the 2-1, the 3-2-1, and the perm buy down is another option that we can help explain. That's so awesome. Okay. So week at a glance, we got that. I think that I have a really good idea of your business right now, and it's incredible, by the way. Let's try to, what I've done is I've got some notes from talking with Denise and knowing Denise's business and your business. We're about halfway through this call. So I'd love for you to pick one or two of these to kind of, let's do a real quick coaching session on this. But you say you got to find your value proposition in the market. We all have brokers in the market. We all have banks and credit unions in the market that have their own value proposition. So get crystal clear on your value proposition. Security comes from, and confidence comes from research and data. Giving your clients, I wrote this down. You said opportunities and options. I absolutely love that. What I found from listening to you so far is you're an economic lighthouse to your realtors and to your clients. And so one of the things that I've done forever, I've done realtor lunch and learns and realtor meetups, small groups, small coaching sessions with them. I know Denise does that. Would you mind kind of giving us an example of, do you do weekly? Do you do monthly meetups with small groups of realtors face-to-face? Do you do large gatherings? How are you getting connected to more real estate agents in your market?
So I do I partnered with a title gal in my network who is off the charts. So I say that very graciously. She's one of the most intelligent women I know. And the two of us do a weekly update for our realtor base, going knee deep into the MLS data, which is her bailiwick. And then I'm going knee deep into the economic data, which is my bailiwick. And so we'll do that for an hour every week. And we started it during the pandemic because there was a lot to talk about. And then we switched it from weekly to bi-weekly, and then it went to monthly for a month or two. And everybody was like, no, where'd you go? Like, you need to come back. And so we brought it back to weekly, and I think it'll probably stay that way as long as I know, as long as there's something to talk about on a regular basis. And we'll have, 300 on the Zoom and another 600 watch it after. So we'll do those. I also do, events where I bring in other speakers, and we'll do those monthly, and we'll get a couple hundred live and another 600 after watching the recordings. And we do a big event. It was the first time we did it was February of this year. And that was, we had 300 agents at that. And so this year we're doing that again, with a goal of 400 agents to that. And that's bringing a higher level of speaker. We had Ryan Serhan at our first one, and we kicked it off, and it was a 2-day event, and it was just packed with speakers and content, and just an amazing 2 days. Took us 6 months to put it together. But, it's anything worth doing is worth doing well. And so we kind of go over the top with all of our events.
I love that. Do you do monthly lunch and learns at all?
We do. That was one of the ones where so we do the weekly updates, and then once a month I bring in a speaker, somebody here locally who is either an economics local expert, or a business re-engineering expert, or a client attraction expert, or one of those type of what's going to meet the agent right now to help them build their business better. And I'll do an economic update and then bring the speaker in.
Love it. I absolutely love that. Okay. Hey, do we have access, or could we watch one of those weekly updates with the title rep that you do that with? Or is that something
they're on Facebook Live?
They're on Facebook Live. I love that. Okay. I got to check that out.
So check it out, guys. Stalker. So I have one thing I want to highlight, and I have found a lot of incredibly successful people that do what Nicole's doing. And so I want to say a statement, and then Nicole, tell me if you agree with this. She's committed to doing this weekly show, and one of the things I have built Mortgage Coach, both the brand and the platform, is committing to do a weekly show. And I don't know what's more valuable about doing that weekly show, how good it makes me from the inside out. Like, because I am committed to that.
Yeah.
I'm reading more, I'm connecting more with people. I'm taking what I learned from the street and bringing it back into my sales and product team. So I'm better from the inside out. Our company is better from the inside out. And then not only does it really become the core of myself, my personal development, it's also amplified the market, and I'm at scale influencing an industry. And I feel like that's what you're doing. You're just like, it's Denver, Colorado, and anybody that believes what you believe, and just listening to you so far, I want to build wealth with real estate, and I want to help families achieve financial freedom. Like, that sounds like that's your jam. And this content you're creating. So with that said, how much of it is just a pure, I'm on stage to influence at masses? How much of it at this point, you're addicted to it because it makes you better and it helps your company be better? I would just like to know how you look at that.
Addicted to it is kind of a different word. I would say that I am committed to it.
Sorry about that. That's my word.
No,
I'm addicted to it.
I wasn't offended.
I'm not going to
by it. I was just
project
trying
that.
to
I'm
think
not
if
going
it
to
was
project
true.
you. I'm not going to project that onto you. So
I'm
sorry.
addicted to it. So I guess what I am addicted to is the idea that, so I'll tell you another story. There was a gentleman, his name is Don Scott, Don Scott. Don is a real estate agent in the Denver market. I don't know if he's even still practicing. Don Kramer. I don't know why. Don Scott is a loan officer. Sorry. Don Kramer is the real estate agent in the Denver market. And we did one transaction together, and that was it. And it was my first one. So he helped me buy a fourplex in Arvada for $400,000, which is worth about 1.3 today. And I went to the closing table kicking and screaming. Like, I didn't want to do it from the entire onset through the process. I didn't think that it was the right thing to do. We met at one of these, it was a John Fisher breakfast club. This was before meetups. I'm kind of dating myself, and before you could really scour everything bigger. It was before Bigger Pockets. So I went to the John Fisher breakfast club. I went as a lender. scouting realtors because I knew as a lender, I was smarter than the next lender and I could figure out what they were talking about. So here were investors that traded car washes for commercial buildings back to a single family. And I was for sure I could get in on that market and rule it. And so I went looking for realtors. He was there looking for investors. He won. I bought a fourplex and it changed the trajectory of my life. So what I'm addicted to is the fact that now I have these investments. Now I invest in commercial. Now I have 3 children, age 21, 22, and 24, who own their first property. I have clients on clients on clients that I have walked through handheld, kicking and screaming to the closing table on their first investment. I am passionately addicted to becoming the next Don Kramer for others. So that's my addiction. My conviction is in the commitment to the work I set out to do. If I tell you I'm going to do it, dang near, I'm going to be there. Like I have done those weekly market updates in hotel rooms and by, on islands and in my camper and wherever I can find them. It does not happen. I won't drink the night before. And I don't drink much anymore anyway, but I am definitely clearer, crisper, and train of thought when I don't drink. And so we could be on vacation and I'm not drinking the night before. I work probably 4 or 5 hours putting together a 30-minute information slot, putting together the best content that I think the realtors would need at this time in the market, that week, that moment. And so my commitment is to the hours that evening before, the hours that morning, putting together the presentation, not drinking and focusing no matter where I am and what I'm doing. I've missed business events. I've gone to Fairway celebrations and missed the celebration the night before and the meeting the morning of, and then ran to the meeting immediately after. You have to, if you're going to do something, do it well and without excuse. I wake up at 3:30, I go to bed at 9, and I just do. I do the same thing. I'm a creature of habit. I love it. I have my morning routine. I have my work routine, and it has progressed to this. And it is a passion to be that Don Kramer for how many thousands of people can we impact?
Wow, that was just so inspiring and loved every bit of it. And Mortgage Coach Innovation Team, there's some more micro content right there for y'all to do something with. So one more question and then back to you, Don. So this quote over your shoulder, resistance to change is always the biggest obstacle. And so, well, 2 questions around it. Is that like your core quote and you've been living by that forever? Or is that like, oh, I switch that out every month? So first of all, how committed are you to that being, that's like part of your brand right here. And that is something that's obviously important. Is that something you switch out, or is that something that you just have been focused on for forever?
It's been there for several months, but I do switch it out. Sometimes I get frustrated and I just put blank, and so it's like, it just depends on my mood, and there's been a lot of change. I do believe that the people, whatever industry you're in, whether you're a lender, a realtor, or title, or totally not real estate related, this year has been hard. This year is probably the hardest. I don't care how much money you made in 2020 and 2021, how much money in the stock market and cryptocurrency and real estate or any other industry. This year has so much change, trying to rubber band our way back out of this stretched out scenario that we had over the last 2 years, where it was so liquid and so high energy, and yes, pandemic and deaths and unnecessary pain and all of that. But this year is the recovery year. It's almost like when you're drinking and doing drugs and you don't feel the pain and it's just so good, and then you try to stop and all of a sudden you're in like a micro hell. Like that's what I think this year is. It's like everybody's trying to get used to, what does normal even look like? Do I remember it? Shoot, I can remember 2008, but I can't remember what normal looked like. Trying to get back to 2018 or 19 has been a real struggle. And I think that the consistent positive, I haven't gone negative ever. I just don't do it. It's just such a waste of energy. So it's, what is the silver lining in this situation? What is the positive message I can put out? What is the opportunities for the buyers? I mean, I go all economic on us, but that's not the point. But there's so many things that we could be doing and talking about right now. Worried about interest rates rising or lack of volume or getting into fear is not one of them. It's not where I want to spend my time.
So I want to say something about that quote, because I do think that quote is its season is here. One of my all-time favorite quotes, and I can't remember who did it, but the illiterate of the 21st century are not those who can't read and write, but there are those who can't learn, unlearn, and relearn. So I just believe that in this digital shift era that we're in, that is a superpower. But in specifically in this market where it's a market share market and it's really difficult out there, I think that should be a mantra, that everybody, that's the quote you have that connects with you, but everybody watching this, like, get that in your workspace. And then I would say, if there was one thing that I could push everyone to do in this market, it is get good on video. And it doesn't mean you need to do a weekly Facebook Live, although that is a really good strategic strategy if you want to be the digital mayor and the local leader in your market. But it could be text video. Just make sure after every realtor meeting, you're using text and video. If you're using mortgage coach, you're putting a video on it. But if you could really grow with video in this season, I know 3 people, and I know more than 3 people that aren't down, but Shop Bedoshi is not that far down. He's big on video. He is a leader in his local market. Nicole is killing it with video, creating content, leading with education, not so down. Denise Donahue, I guarantee we're going to hear a lot of the same themes into not next Tuesday, but the next Tuesday. So anyways, back to you, Dan. I just wanted to call those things out.
Yeah. I think I wanted to say, before you can get good at video, you have to get good at content creation. And that's what I see you doing. That's what I've committed to over the last 5 or 6 years. And I think that's where your confidence comes from.
Yeah.
You heard Nicole just say that she doesn't just show up to a meeting, to a Facebook Zoom or Facebook Live, and with her title rep and just wing it for 30 minutes. 2-3 hours worth of preparation that goes into that. So content creation needs to be at the forefront of all of our businesses right now. That's my biggest piece of advice and takeaway from just listening to you. So I've got notes here in front of me. This is so awesome. From listening to you today, and then your last interview, and then Denise, and what I know from Denise. Here's the similarities, you guys. This is incredible. Number one, realtors are providing value to realtors. 300 to 600 people on your Facebook Lives. That's insane. That's valuable. Every single, what did you say? Every single Friday or once a week you do that?
Yep.
Okay. So 300 to 600 there. I do something very similar called making sense of your market. I started mine the month before Trump got elected. I was teaching a home buyer class, and there was 30 something students there downtown Seattle, and they were all freaked out. It wasn't about home ownership. It was, what if Hillary gets elected? What if Trump gets elected? What's the economy going to do? All this fear. And I'm like, you know what? I need to do something about this. So much like you, every single Friday, 3 to 5 minute video. And I send out to all my realtors. I send out to all my clients. Content. It's so important. So Denise and Nicole cater to realtors. They do events for realtors. They do private meetings for realtors. They do educational. Real estate agents need value and they need education. Number 2, both you guys are some of the most confident people I have ever met. I love it. And I love confidence, and our clients need that. And real estate agents love that. Both of you guys have a ton of confidence. Number 3 are the economic lighthouses in your community. So listening to your Facebook Live this morning, it was awesome. You knew what you were talking about. You're talking about data. You were talking about what ifs. I love turning the tables on clients that right now that are like, well, I don't know if I want to buy because I read this article, or my dad says, or someone says that the market's going to recede by 30%. My response to that always is, okay, that's fair. Do you know what would have to happen for home values in Seattle to drop 30%?
Yeah.
And I just let them kind of brain dump, interest rates or foreclosures. And I was like, okay, but what would have to happen to cause that to happen? So let's talk about that. And then all of our research that we've done, the data that we have, we can now interject those what ifs, those worst case scenarios. The other thing that I absolutely love that you do, I think my biggest takeaway from you is the title rep thing. I have a local title rep I could totally do this with. I'm going to start doing this. I don't know if it's going to be weekly. I'm just going to commit to doing this. But I heard you say this just a minute ago, and it's commitment and consistency. So my best piece of advice after listening to you today to loan officers right now, commit and be consistent. But I would say commit to content. What you're doing, you're a content creator is what I've learned so far. Am I off on that at all?
No, we create a lot of content, And that's the fun of it, right? Is because if I put in, and you said 2 or 3 hours, I really think it's more like 4 or 5 for every 30 minutes, but I do that. And then it feeds the rest of the week, right? It's not like it's that 4 or 5 hours I've committed to a 30-minute result. It's a 30-minute result. Plus it's a Saturday email blog that I put out. Plus it's a Tuesday morning, the next week that I put out. Plus it's, the realtor conversations and presentations I'm doing and the client conversations. And I'm talking to my production partners about the messaging. And so you have to be committed to do the work and not everybody is made for economics. Like I get that what I do would make other people want to throw up, and that's fine. So become an expert in something. Maybe it's you are the person that knows condos, HOAs, and downtown. Like go after it. Like there's things that you could do with new construction condos. There's horse property stuff. You can go after the veterans, or you could go after teachers and police officers. Like you could be all in and know everything you can about what the average income is of a police officer and the average retirement age of a police officer and how much they retire with and how you can ancillarily, that's probably not a word, add to their retirement.
I'm okay with it.
Are you? I'm going to make it a word.
I make up words all the time.
It doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter. People are like, they get so hung up on, I need to do it this way, but you don't. Like this way works for me because I was a finance major and I geek out on the information and I get it. Like it clicks when the Fed does something, or when I see unemployment like we just saw on Friday, or when I see the numbers, I'm like, oh shit, that wasn't good. I better lock everybody. like I get what it means. And so it's just, for me, it works, but it could be the other thing. And don't try to be something you're not. Like I don't go in and try and do loan program presentations. Nobody expects it from me, and nobody's going to get it from me. Like you're not going to hear, like every other lender in town is talking about what loan programs they have. I'm going to say me too. Yeah. Like I got what they got, but let's talk about the rest of the stuff, because you're not talking loan programs to your clients. You're talking situational issues, and you're talking about fear, and you're talking about the other things. You could give a shit about what loan programs I have, but you need to know that I have them. And you need to know that I've got your back, and you need to know where your job ends and mine begins. And so that's, but if loan programs are your gig, like go after it and know it better than anybody else, because that's not what I'm going to say my gig is. So I don't know that it's not this, it's just whatever. And you just have to be all in.
Yeah.
Hey,
you are.
I got a question. I am going to be doing an interview with Shayla Gifford within a couple weeks. And one of the things that she was really passionate about is using content to have more personal conversations. She says, hey, I hear a lot of people talking about content, and I'm content, but I'm being very strategic so that we are getting in-person conversations. They are creating, kind of marketing and selling. And I know you're doing that. So I would just love to know, what are the rhythms of how you go from how you leverage content to get meetings, how you leverage content in meetings, and just, how you integrate that into your mortgage experience from a lead gen perspective.
So I haven't overthought that. I mean, I do.
Well, how about this? How many in-person meetings are you or someone having with realtors? What are your rhythms, to have in-person, whether it's in person, whether it's over the phone, whether it's on Zoom? What does that side of your day-to-day or week-to-week look like?
No. I get the question. So you have to be true to who you are. Like some loan officers and some people, we'll say people, salespeople, whatever industry you're in. Some people like to take people out to coffee, and some people like to take people to sport events. I like to educate. I'm more of a one-to-many. I like to educate and rally behind the positive aspects of the current market and arm the people that I'm educating, typically real estate agents, but it could be financial planners or CPAs, with the information they need to continue to have those conversations. Now, my production partners, as I point, they're in the office behind me, they're having the one-on-ones. And I'm teaching them, they're watching my lives, they're watching my market updates. We're having, I meet with my team every single day in some form or fashion, either the whole team as a group or the individual subsections of the team, telling them about what's going on in the market, how the shift is happening, what messaging I'm sending, what I think the urgentness is in the conversations, and then they replicate them into the individual messages. I don't as much unless I'm sitting down with a realtor or a client doing a strategy session.
Okay, but that, first of all, that was very enlightening that you are consistently arming your team every single day with, messaging and content. So Dan, we got 7 minutes. I'll let you make the most of it.
Yeah, I think that I don't want to say the answer to your question for Nicole, what I think it is, but what I wrote down when she was thinking, I was like, you are the content. Like, that's what you are. Like, I don't know if there's a content strategy. You are the content. Everything you do is content. It's educating. And I think loan officers listening to this, go back and re-listen to this. She puts 4 hours worth of research and time into a 30-minute Facebook Live. But then I heard you say this, correct me if I'm wrong, you're using that content that you spent 4 hours for realtor meetings, for other videos, for face-to-face meetings with clients or other business professionals. Yeah. So you're actually duplicating, you're using that content for multiple other reasons, correct?
Oh, well, I can't sharpen their saw without sharpening my own first. Yeah. It doesn't get results if I wing it. The lives are a product of, I think everything centers around the weekly market update. And then the learning does, and then the other things are all kind of, and then the continuous, just what's news this morning kind of thing. But and then I pick and choose, right? I mean, there's all kinds of news every single day. So what's relevant, what's positive, and what's motivating? Yeah, those are the things that I'm going to focus on and grab and relay. Yeah,
that's you and Denise. You guys are just content. You're all content. It's giving, it's educational, it's valuable. And there's no doubt why both of you guys are up this year and having incredible years. All right, I want to close with this. And I think this is the big anchor. I think this is what everyone showed up for. So you have an amazing mortgage professional right in front of you right now, Nicole. So you can pick her brain right now. You get the best advice in the industry right now. If you're a loan officer, so here's my question to you, Nicole. If you're a loan officer, if you're talking to a loan officer right now that's doing, 1 to 3 transactions a month. Last year, they were doing 5 to 8, right? They're down. They're negative. They are having a hard time right now. What's your best piece of advice right now to that loan officer? We're halfway through the year to finish the year up from doing 1 to 3, maybe up 3 to 5 or more.
I mean, everybody started doing 3 to 5 units, right? No matter what I'm doing today, we all have a very firm memory of what it took to get there. And it took just as much work to get there that it did for me to have the year I had last year. It's just different. You start to leverage more. But what I would tell anybody that's looking to turn their year around or capitalize on this year is 2 things. One is know your why. Like, this is a hard gig. The people that jumped into lending over the last 2 years, they thought it was easy. I hear the same thing from realtors as well. No, this gig is a hard gig. There's times you have to grovel. There's times you have to beg for forgiveness. There's loans that fail. I mean, it is a big deal. And people say, well, there's no death in real estate. And I'm like, tell my client and my realtor that, because they're 100% assured that there's a death involved in this transaction. So what we do is important. I would say that, you as a lender, know your craft, be all in, don't give up, and stick to the disciplines, because this is hard and it's not for everybody. It really isn't. And this year should weed out the people that were in it just because it was fun. You are controlling the biggest asset and the biggest liability of somebody's life. When you think about the fact that the average American who's worth the 80% of Americans, not the top 10 or 20, but the 80% of Americans, 63%, and it bumped up to like 68% of their net worth is in their singular home, their singular roof over their head. You have such an incredible opportunity to change the trajectory of lives. It's up to you. If you make this just a gig, a hobby, while I'm driving my kids to school thing, or if you make this a career, then be all in. Hone in your craft, commit to something, figure out whatever that is that lights you up, do what you love, and then just jump all in and be willing to take the risks. I've spent so much time and so much money on things that never went anywhere. Because I thought for sure they would, but they didn't. But if I didn't do those things, I wouldn't have done the thing that got me to here. So
I love that. I love that. You're awesome. Thank you so much for that info. We got a couple. Dave, you got about 20 nice little short form videos from this interview today. I guarantee that would just be super valuable for the community. But Nicole, you're awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for that info today.
Well, I really appreciate both of you. And Nicole, I love your passion for the why, and I couldn't agree more with that. There was a blog post on the Borrow Smart University blog a couple days ago, and the impact of debt in mortgage, it's even bigger. 99, like the bottom 99% of America, so not the top 1%,
yeah,
have 85.4% of their wealth in real estate.
I believe.
And listen to this stat: the bottom 99%, so again, exclude the top 1% of the richest people in America, they hold 95.3% of all debt in America. Guys, like what we do matters. That's why I always say that as a mortgage professional, you are positioned to be the single most valuable advisor to a family. More valuable than a financial planner, more valuable than a CPA, certainly more valuable than a life insurance agent. Like, we can be the captain of the wealth team. I mean, Nicole, you are the captain of the wealth team, and thank you for making time for this community. Really appreciate you doing that. I'll put links down below to some of her seller buy down videos and mortgage coach, and also the 18-minute interview we did. If you got value, give this a like, share this with your manager, share this with other mortgage professionals, and let's elevate the industry together. This is a wrap. Take care, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Thanks, Dan.
You got it.